If you'd like to address the evolution of the eye, I'd be happy to let you in. I
I'm sorry, I was unfairly being facetious. Dr. Hovind.
I saw this question on the handout, um, so I know that it's a nice question to pass up here apparently, but
Excuse me, Dr.
I'm
Hovind, your turn.
Well, I would say it's obvious the eye could not evolve. It had to be created. It's too complex. There's just too much there. Charles Darwin himself said the thing that caused him to shudder was the human eye. He said, I see no way it could evolve bit by bit. What good is a 5% eyeball? If it doesn't work yet, it's of no value. It's a hindrance. Just like a reptile's limb evolving into a bird's wing, it becomes a useless leg a long time before it becomes a useful wing. And the critter gets killed because he can't run as fast, so evolution stops dead in its tracks. It doesn't work. Most things don't work bit by bit. Tires on your vehicle don't work one at a time. They all four have to be there for it to roll. And the human eye, with its billions of complex parts, it had to be created and designed just like a computer program. You can spill Coke in your keyboard and you will not develop a computer program. Random chance produces chaos, disasters. It never produces more order, and the human eye is so ordered that makes me marvel at the intelligent creator. I have no problem with that, and I want to apologize as far as the tone. I certainly don't want to be offensive. I want to. This is a serious subject, extremely serious, because your behavior is determined by your beliefs. And we are watching a rapid decline in American culture and morals, I think, largely due to the teaching of evolution. I'm dead set against it.
Okay, I'm going to read one that, and then paraphrase a little bit, four others or three others that I have in my hand here that ask similar questions. The theory of evolution is based on interpretation of physical evidence, while the creation theory seems to be based on attacking unanswered or controversial issues of evolution. What concrete physical evidence support creation science? A similar question made a comment that the Bible theory just doesn't cut it. And a series of questions also have to do with how do you reconcile what you're saying with the literal description of creation in Genesis. There are a number here that have to do where the dinosaurs created on the fifth day, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
We need about 6 more hours on that one. As far as the physical evidence for creation, again, we're talking evidences, not proofs. If I could demonstrate the world was not billions of years old because the Earth is slowing down 1,000th of a second per day. Every 2.5 years we have leap second. Read Astronomy Magazine, June 30th, 1992, we had leap second. The Earth is slowing down. Well, that means that it used to be spinning faster, obviously. And if you go backwards in time, only 10 million years, the Earth was spinning too fast for life to be here because the winds were 5,000 miles an hour from the Coriolis effect. And if you want to tell me the dinosaurs lived 70 million years ago, well then we got a real problem because they'd have been blown off the surface of the Earth. Just by the rotational velocity is decreasing. The sun is shrinking, the moon is getting further away, the Earth is cooling down, Jupiter, Saturn are all cooling down. I could go for days on physical evidences that the Earth isn't billions of years old, which of course does not prove creation, but it takes away the option of evolution. What evolution has done in the schools in the last 15 or 20 years in the textbooks, and I had lunch yesterday with a school board member in my county, and I'm very active in trying to get evolution out of the textbooks on the grounds that it is just a religion. I don't think they should teach evolution or creation in the textbooks. But what the evolutionists have done is they've used a very faulty logic. They're saying, well, we don't know for sure how it happened, but this is the best option. That's like saying if a person is accused of a crime, he's brought to court, and he can prove an alibi. Judge, I didn't do that crime. I wasn't there. The judge says, well, okay, but you're still guilty until you prove who did it. The innocent party doesn't have to prove who did the crime. He just has to prove he didn't do it. And proving evolution did not happen and cannot happen and does not happen is sufficient. I don't need to be able to prove creation. It is easy to disprove evolution, and that's the real problem is the subject of origins cannot be discussed without religious implications.
Okay, I believe the question is more, what is the evidence other than the Bible?
The evidence...
Not against evolution,
okay,
but for creation.
The evidence for creation is the complexity of life. It doesn't arise by chance. If an explosion in a print factory does not produce a book. It's too complex. And a random variation and chance will never produce anything like we see the complexity of life. So the example of the watch. I've never been to Japan. I've not seen the Japanese watchmakers, but there's one over there someplace. Here, it's too complex to have arisen by chance. And everything in biology is too complex to have arisen by chance. One paramecium is more complicated than the space shuttle, by far. To say it evolved is to greatly oversimplify the complexity of all biology that we understand. So I would have to stand and say, hey, here's the watch. There has to be a watchmaker, though I've never seen him. I would say, here's the creation. There had to be a creator. That's just that simple. I agree. That's going into the metaphysical. I've not seen him. I've not touched him. So.
Okay, I'm going to follow that up then with the last of the questions, and again, this is more directed toward you.
Okay.
And we have a number here that ask the same thing, that have to do with the complexity of the human, as you just discussed and all. How does that rule out that, in effect, evolution is the mechanism by which God has created us? Yes.
That again would go back to who do you think God is? What kind of God are you worshiping? Is it a God of random chance that doesn't know what he wants, or is it a God that knows what he wants? I'm sure the people in Japan did not throw the pieces in a dryer and let them clang around for 1,000 years and hope it developed a Casio Databank watch. I think they had a design in mind when they went into it. And there is obvious design in the body, obvious design in everything in nature, and that speaks loudly of a very intelligent designer. Did I get off the question? Was the one about the Bible and where the dinosaurs fit in, or is that different? That was on that question too, wasn't it?
That was on an earlier round, I believe.
It was on the first half of that question.
The summary of all of these is I think comes back to a question we asked earlier that I tried to summarize. Is it possible that evolution is the mechanism God uses?
I would say it is not possible that evolution is the mechanism God uses. By evolution, we need to carefully define the term. If there are two very different things that are classed under the term of evolution. There is simple variation. Dogs developing new varieties of dogs, and they will say, hey, that's evolution. No, no. That's variation. That happens. Florida rabbits cannot breed with Alaska rabbits. They have delineated the species, and they are no longer interfertile. They can't produce a viable offspring. Alaska rabbits can breed with Iowa rabbits, and Iowa rabbits can breed with Florida rabbits, but the two extremes cannot. They have diversified. I understand all that. But that's not evolution. That's variation. They're still rabbits. It didn't change into a hamster or anything else. It's still a rabbit. So that's not evolution. There is no evidence for evolution ever having occurred unless you want to take evidences for variation. So what they do, some people call that microevolution and then macroevolution. The same phenomena could be observed with the weather. We have our daily weather patterns due to a number of forces, but our yearly weather patterns are due to other forces, solar forces outside of this Earth, not related to the heating and cooling. Two totally separate set of events that cause the weather patterns. And we have microevolution, variation, which is God ordained. He created the species with a genetic code that's very complex. My 3 kids are all very different. That's proof of creation. You can buy cars with a variety of options. That's proof of creation. Somebody designed it.
Dr. Richardson, is it possible to you that evolution is the mechanism that God has used for creating the human?
Yes.
Okay. Is that all you wish to say?
I would like to say that that I noticed that microevolution